Just bear with us, mate.
Yeah, boy.
I'll have to do GMT. Like, that screws me right up.
Let me just try to fucking turn my light to a normal colour. It's going all every colour but fucking white.
I have unnatural sunlight.
Look at you go.
1 sec.
Fucking hell,
It's going fucking every colour.
Ricky's in the back of a cop car.
I know.
Ricky's in a nightclub, mate.
Fuck's sake, man. Can't fucking do it.
Jesus, Ricky.
Oh man,
turn
I was
it
doing
off.
like slow colours.
And you just unplug it from the fucking wall,
turn
you
it off.
lunatic.
I don't know where the,
Just
I
turn
can't
it
find
off,
the
you
end of the
donut.
plug. I can't find it in the plug. 1 sec.
Fuck's sake.
I have to put an eye
That
patch
is
on
my
it.
cell
It's the
phone.
first thing I found. I had to apply an eye patch on my finger.
An eye patch on
Fucking
you?
hell.
What the fuck, Ricky?
What is
Holy
going on
shit.
here?
Are your sheen ones acting up or what? Did you get those out of your purse?
My eye patches. It's a little fucking eye patch.
You fucking lunatic.
You're right,
If
Oliver, bro.
it stops the bleeding, mate, you do what you can to stop the bleeding. Improvise, adapt, and overcome.
Right, should we do the
On a
intro
K,
while
mate, on a
Ricky's
K.
being a fucking fanny?
Like,
Yeah, go on.
Right, cool. Welcome to the Bottom Third podcast. I'm Danny. Joining me is Alex and Ricky as co-host. Our guest today is, I'm going to refer to you as GMAN. Is that all right?
Yeah, it's good. Hey, everybody.
There we go. Cool. So if you're listening to this on Spotify, I know it's going to be the same fucking spiel every episode, but I need to do it. If you're listening on Spotify, bear in mind we are on a video call. If we do hand gestures, that doesn't translate into audio, so you can watch us on YouTube. You can't see it, but we're flipping you off. Cool. If you have any dits, send them in on Facebook, and if you want to jump on as a guest, fucking messages on Facebook as well, and Alex will put you on the stag list. What I will say about the dits, going into the text-to-speech moving forward, we're probably going to do them as separate videos, like reaction videos for YouTube, because it's a bit unfair on the guest to be stopped mid-fucking podcast to then go, listen to this fucking shit dit that someone sent in, and it's just a bit unfair. So we've decided we will do them, but it's us three as hosts that are going to react to them. Maybe a special guest every now and again if you want to jump on. Cool. If you jump on Bear Grylls, yes, the ultimate of the fucking TV series. What's it called? Man vs. Wild, is that it?
I have no idea.
Fuck knows. He's a biff anyway. Cool. If you jump on our social medias, any single one, there's a link tree.
Shit.
What?
Sorry. Just talking about Bear Grylls, I saw there was a Harrogate pass-out parade last week, right? Now he's obviously the fucking head of the Army Foundation.
Isn't he? Yeah,
he was there. He was there to take the salute. Fuck all medals other than his OBE or whatever it was.
Oh, was it? So he had a medal on. Well,
yeah, but it's his OBE or whatever the fuck it is.
The one thing
he hasn't been on 2 ways, what you say?
Like, pro tip from Bear Grylls: drink your own piss. It's really good for you. This is my own piss.
Sorry, crack on. Sorry.
Yeah, cool.
When it starts getting yellow, though, dude, you can't drink it anymore. When it's clear, it's cool. Yellow, no.
Is that like yellow snow?
Yeah.
Yeah. You don't eat the yellow snow ever in Canada.
Ever in Canada. Fucking right. Cool.
Surely that's not just restricted to Canada, though.
Nah.
No. I would, anywhere where you find yellow snow, try to avoid it. As with brown snow, that's never a good sign.
I think One Man Army will be a fucking testament to that.
Yeah.
Right. Cool.
Right, anyway, get your intro finished.
Couple more things, yeah. So there's a link tree on all our social medias, whichever one you could stumble across. Click on it. At the top, there's a link for a website page called Coffee. Jump on there. You can donate us £1 a month or fucking 50 quid a year or fucking whatever the fuck you want. Basically, it helps us towards getting our podcast studio. We've had a couple of donations, and this week I'm going to say thank you to Eddie. Eddie is the lone survivor this week that's donated. Everyone else that's donated this week is a monthly subscription fee, so I had to try and figure out who's already been called out, which is quite fucking... It's a good fucking problem to have, but it was a nuisance because I didn't want to shout the same person out twice. Unless they donated again. Finally, if you're a fucking civvy, or a Walt, or just a fucking absolute bellend who's just stumbled across this fucking platform, or fucking DDC, stay tuned. Eventually, through all the military jargon, We do talk about like sex stories and like people shooting each other on accident or whatever. Lads, any fucking further points? Did I miss anything?
Would
Yeah,
just point
don't go
out,
through a fucking airport with live rounds in your purse.
Yes, Emma.
just want to point out as well, with our reporter in the field today is Alex. As you can see, he's out in the field. So he's our reporter out on the ground.
Yeah,
Um,
it's between compound 17
Literally
and
just in
19.
a field.
Okay, it's not a green screen either, guys. Show him, Alex. It's not a green screen.
Yeah,
Yeah, let
he's,
me stand up.
It's genuine. He's
Literally
genuinely not on a
out
green
in the
screen,
field.
though. 360.
it's our new feature on the Bottom Third podcast where we stick lads out on stag randomly in the UK, anywhere.
You know what else you should set up? It's something called random jackings, where you just go around randomly and jack up each other. I don't know if you guys live close enough.
Jack
or,
up each other.
yeah. Not jack up. Yeah. You know, when you're getting yelled at, that's what we call it in Canada. If you're getting yelled at, it's called getting jacked up.
Ah.
So, you know, you got to set something up where you just randomly jack each other up, like call each other at like 3:00 in the morning.
All right, that's not what we thought.
No.
We thought you meant.
Yeah, jacking up home,
Jack
jacking
up.
up there.
You know what? You all have dirty minds over there on the island.
To be fair, do you know what? I've been watching a lot of Graham Norton for some reason, and the British guests are always the funniest. I don't know what it is, but it's just the British humour. And I think I've never really thought about it that much, but the term British humour, it doesn't like sort of explain it very well as to how ruthless we can be in terms of like jokes.
I love it.
But then
I love it.
when you add the fucking military into it, it's just icing on the cake. It's ridiculous the shit that lads come out with, and women, evidently by
Yeah,
Emma.
you know, growing up, I had a lot of buddies growing up that were fob from England, fresh off the boat, and you know, I get the best banter going with those guys ever. You know, not all of them are military. Some of them are. Like one of my buddies was in the Falklands, like back in the '80s kind of thing. He was with the RAF. And you know, we get the best banter going. We really take the piss out of each other, and I absolutely love it. And the only ones that can really do it and have a good time are us, you folks out there in the UK, and the Aussies. All really engage in it really well. The Americans, I got to tell you, not so much.
Do you know what?
Americans have got shit banter.
I don't know how well this is going to go with WeServe because it's an American bank that's actually sponsored UK veterans.
Americans have got shit banter.
Yeah,
It's banter
you
anyway.
can be a good
It's banter
bloke, but
talking-
shit crack.
It's banter talking about banter, so they shouldn't get fucking offended.
That's it, mate.
Okay.
To be honest, we could do get a Nazi on.
We're gonna do the icebreaker.
Oh shit!
for you.
I know an Aussie.
Right, done.
Leave it with me. Leave it with me.
G-Man, icebreaker.
Yeah.
We want to know fucking when you lost your virginity, why you joined the military, bit about your military history, and then what you do on a weekend, whether it's fucking ketamine or weed or
Bro.
Well, yeah, I'll tell you why it hurts to pee. That's all good. I got no shame. I got no shame. Yeah, so I congealed in a gutter back in the early 80s in London, Ontario, Canada. And, you know, not much really happened. I just sort of changed form, you know, congealed, became what I was. And when I was about 18, I joined the military in Canada as you guys have like, it's called TA, right? Your territorial reserve.
Weekend warriors.
So yeah, that's what I was, yo. And so I was getting it on, you know, one night a week and one weekend a month and, you know, 1 week a year. Did that in my basic training, man. It was such a joke. Yeah, brutal. 16 days was my basic training. Not much to it. This is how you shoot a gun. This is how you march. This is how you keep your shit in order. And that was that. And it was every other weekend. So it was pretty intense, I gotta tell you. There's a lot of like Navy SEAL-esque training going on there, you know. I think once we stood out in the rain. Once. Yeah. So after what are you laughing about, man, this is hardcore shit. Hard army, baby.
We appreciate your service.
You mean you appreciate my cervix?
If we're I think Alex has done longer out today.
Maybe edit that one out. Yeah, no, it was like a 16-day wonder course. It was really ridiculous. But it happened. It was what it was. Couldn't change it. A lot of people had a lot to learn after that. Like, you know, if you were the lowest common denominator, like the bottom third on the course, plug in. So yeah, if you were bottom third on the course, you probably had a hard time in those 16 days because it was like drinking from a fire hose. There was no, you know, you may have been there all weekend, but there was like no sleep. There was no nothing. They fit a whole week's worth of training into like 2 days. And it did kind of suck balls in its own right, you know what I mean? But not like a legitimate kind of course, which I would end up doing later on because I went through a bunch of different trades in the military. But I started off in the Armored Corps, and that was my 16-day wonder course before I would go off on armored training because you do like a basic course, right? So you just kind of understand the fundamentals of the military. And then they send you off and you do a trade specific course where you'll get like, for me, having started off as armored, I did a basic driver wheel course. So I got qualified on a bunch of different vehicles. And then on top of that, you're also being trained as infantry because we have the saying that you're soldiers first, right? So no matter what you do, no matter what you do in the military, you're always a soldier first. So in the combat arms, regardless of what trade you do, you're all going to get the same kind of basic training and then a little bit of trade specific stuff. So you'll get a driver's license in the military. You'll get the basic fundamentals like how to operate a machine gun, how to use the M72, how to deploy a hand grenade, all this kind of shit. Then from there, you'll go on to what's called like a QL4 or a QL5. And then you get into like more specific kind of training where you'll actually like do your reconnaissance course. Like I qualified as armored reconnaissance. I qualified as an armored crewman. So I've been on all of these armored vehicles. I've operated as a driver, as a gunner. Yeah, and after my first year, all I did was train for the first year. So I did my 16-day wonder course where, yeah, basically they just made sure I had my name sewn into my underwear. And after that, I did my QL3. And then QL4 qualified there. And then they decided to send me off to an infantry battalion for a deployment to Bosnia as a peacekeeper. So that was my first kind of trade change, you know what I mean? And what a friggin' eye-opener it was joining the regular forces. You know, going from Toontown, we like to call our reservists toons or cartoons because they're only usually on weekends.
Yeah,
And,
we call them weekend warriors. Or
yeah, and now as a cartoon though, we used to like to call our reg force guys soap operas or soaps because they were there all week, but they were only on for like an hour a day, right? And it was usually in the afternoon. So we all kind of picked each other back and forth, but it was a huge eye opener when I got into the regular forces as an infantier, especially having been an armored guy. Like we used to cruise around in a 15-ton armored vehicle with a barbecue in the back and a cooler full of beer, right? So that was us. And then to get into the infantry where you're very micromanaged, like you know, every individual soldier is controlled like very tightly. I found anyways. And it was a big eye opener, but I loved it. I had a great time in Bosnia as a dirt monkey out there or an infantier. It was pretty wild. Came back and went to college actually.
going back to interrupt there. Going back to Bosnia, was there any good stories in Bosnia? Any funny bits? Anything that happened that you can talk about that was funny?
Yeah, you know, so I had one of my jobs was with psyops. Now it sounds kind of friggin' CIA kind of bullshit, but it's not. All I had to do was show up at a local radio station and play some music and, feed some propaganda to the people. And it was all good. So I was NATO Nick and my show was called Edge of the Wedge, and I ran it out of a town called Szyn. Now, one of the things that we had to do was we had in Bosnia, I think they were called Mastrovies or something like that. But they were these propaganda magazines that were geared for kids, and we had all these giveaways and stuff. And I thought, you know what, this is kind of stupid. Like what do these backpacks or these books or these crayons offer to these kids' families? They're living in utter poverty, and what they need is food, sustenance, these kinds of things, right? So I traveled the back roads of Bosnia. Oh shit. And what I did was I found me a goat, and my idea was to take this goat and to give it away as a prize on the radio station, right?
That's proper Bosnia thing, that.
Because it could have fed a family, it could have worked a farm, you never know, right? But we were living in a platoon house in Behatch. We had basically taken over a used car lot in Behatch, and I tried to bring this goat back, and the goat wasn't happy. The friggin' PMed tech wasn't happy. Nobody was happy but me. You know what I mean? I tried, man. I tried, dude. This goat eating my uniform and shit. But I had tried.
Do you know what I find very strange? That obviously with the Canadian accent, it sounds very American to me, and I'm pretty sure the Aussies and the lads from New Zealand don't appreciate the comparison with their accents as well. So I don't know if it's.
Listen, I got it.
Yeah, I don't know if it's me being ignorant.
Break. I got to tell you, though, my DNA, I'm part American. My mom is a Yank, and I spent a lot of time in the U.S. as a kid. So my accent, I don't have a typical Canadian accent. I don't sound like a Canadian. But I can put one on. I can do a pretty good Canadian accent.
You don't look like the one on South Park either. With the heads that split. You look like that.
Do you know what? I was quite shocked the fact that his fucking top of his head wasn't moving independently from the rest of his body.
Yeah, we thought you all looked like that. That's all we know about you, see.
Friggin' bell ends.
So do you have you were saying that you was dealing with some bottom third individuals on your 16 fucking day hell.
My 16-day wonder course, where
hell
I lived to be Rambo after 16 days. Yeah, there were some real geniuses on there,
But do you actually,
some of them made
before you carry on, but do you actually use the phrase top third, middle third, and bottom third in your grade in Canada as well, or is that something you've adopted from us?
We do, so much so that we even have a joke on our leadership course. Like when I was doing my combat leaders course, we used to say, what do you call bottom third on the CLC? And people kind of look at you funny, and you say, Master Corporal, bitch. Because that means you get promoted, right? So it doesn't matter if you're top third, middle third, bottom third, you're still getting promoted, right? Even if you're bottom third. But yeah, we have that sort of classification in the CF,
Yeah,
and it's good. I love it.
Thing. I reckon
it should be.
If you pass an NCO card, but you come bottom third, I reckon it should be a certain time you have to wait to do a couple of extra courses within the battalion. Because bottom third lads on courses, at least when fucking I was dealing with it, there would be lads that went on the course, came bottom third, promoted 2 weeks after, while lads were still waiting from 8 months when they came top third of their course to promote. I thought that's jack as fuck. So lads saying,
surely
that's all nothing.
Surely,
I see what you're
down to who in what place in it.
I mean,
if there's a role.
Well, it's not even that. Well, if there's a role or not, the lad that's been waiting 8 months should prioritise. Or the thing is, after that amount of time, you're probably forgetting they've even done a course.
Oh yeah, true.
For us though, we also have a thing, and I don't know if you Limeys have it, but on the very top we have we'll list our top 3 candidates. So you'll have your top candidate, the second place, and the third place, and those top 3 people are usually slotted first for promotion. They'll usually get their preference to posting. Like when I became a meathead, which is military police in Canada, that's our nickname for them, is a meathead. Also, we call them pigs and crap hats and all kinds of other good stuff. But
Crap hats as
I
well.
was a meathead.
Same as over here then. Nice.
Yeah, pretty standard, really. Anyways, I digress. Yeah, so it is what it is, you know, and we are kind of what we are.
I think fucking of all.
You
Go on.
before you start waffling off, Danny, you've vaguely, like, massively fucking missed out on the part of the introduction where you tell us about where and when you lost your virginity.
Oh shit, yeah.
Holy shit. Parents' couch, 1994.
What time?
At approximately 0013 hours.
Very specific. Until
Pissed as a newt. 14 years old, drunk as hell.
What was his name?
Giving her. Your mom.
Oh, you can have a me. I'm not asked.
Your mom.
Your old man bent over bigger than your mom.
So going back on this, I know the story as well. He originally married a stripper, didn't you?
No, you
Thought
didn't.
it was
I did. But
how did you meet? Say how you met, etc.
Holy jeebus. This is ground I wasn't sure we were going to cover. And I don't tell my munchkins about this, my spawn, at all. So they have no idea. But Ricky is very much on point. I did this back in the day. I had just become an MP, and it became an issue when I was an MP. They found out what she did for a living. And here in Canada, anyways, those sort of folk are tied into not so cop friendly circles, you could say. So it became an issue. It became an issue for me in my job, but that's not what ended it. It's the fact that she was pretty much dead inside, like emotionally, just a total nut job. You know what I mean? And it was just time to go. So I walked away after a brief interlude. But man, I'm a typical army guy sometimes, you know.
I know what happened. I know what happened. One man army's mate chucking a fucking loony through that fucking paper fucking cone.
A loony, bro. If you ladies and gentlemen, get your hands together one time for the lovely Lolita. She dips, she dives, she slips, she slides, all for you. So get your hands together and welcome her to the stage. Gentlemen, bills only, no coins. Do you know what I'm talking about? So we don't do coins. We don't throw out loonies here at the clubs at the
Kingos do.
All right. That is very bad news, Bears. All right. You don't want to do that. If you're here, because we have $1 coins, we got $2 coins. And that's that's paltry, right? You don't want to do that. So if you're going to go in, what you got to do is you got to get a $5 bill, and they're plastic now, so they're great for folding. So you fold it into a little triangle, and you lay it on top of your face like that, and they'll drop right in and pick it up with their labia, with their labia.
Oh, I can only imagine the scent.
The clubs get pretty wild here in Canada. There used to be a place. We have a big army base out in. It's a place called CFB Petawawa, and it's right on the border with Quebec, Tabarnak, SSD. And anyways, that's French, dude. That's French. Just ignore it. Just ignore it. Just ignore it. Anyways, on the border. On the border there of Ontario and Quebec is where base is, and you could drive for about 60 minutes, and it was probably the closest strip club to the base or ballet, whatever you want to call it. But it was in an old, like an old abattoir, an old butcher, an old meat factory. So it still had like the kind of trolley that ran on the ceiling to run the carcasses around. And so what they would do is the strippers would be in these harnesses, and they would get harnessed up onto the meat hooks, and they would trolley them around, right? And so you'd be sitting there drinking with your boys or whatever, and all of a sudden you'd see these legs and feet, and then so there's all of a sudden a roast beef meal on your fucking table.
Mental that. Words on
Yeah.
Why
How
don't we have
different
cool shit in the
countries live,
UK? Honestly.
Yeah,
Well,
we got no fucking shit.
Well,
like
it's
that.
because you guys are prunish on the island.
Yeah, we
That's
are, to be
the
fair.
problem.
Do you know what? I
We're
can
pretty
I can
liberal out
appreciate
here
as
on the
well.
mainland.
I can appreciate
Yeah.
as well the weed jungle hat.
Oh, you love it. You love it.
Yeah, it's fucking brilliant. Can I get one?
Yeah, I'll send you one. Listen, I got something too. Did you all serve in Afghanistan?
Yes, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. Check out what I got for you guys.
Wow.
Oh, nice.
Ice hat
Oh, nice.
decals. Vehicle
Nice one,
decals.
man.
I'm trying to hook Ricky up with a Land Rover Defender. I know he's looking for one, and I'm into military vehicles. I collect them. I have one right now, and I figured that would look good on Ricky's Defender when I find it for him. And
Yeah,
I
man.
figured to show some appreciation for having you guys, bring me on your podcast here. I figure I'd send some of those out to you as well.
Appreciate it.
Oh,
man.
sweet.
Thank you.
Cheers, bro.
I've got a question now.
Yeah, but anyways, I'll definitely send you one of these hats.
I'll take it.
Go ahead, fire away.
So my question
Yeah,
is,
fire away.
when the YouTube channel eventually goes international, where we can actually travel to do videos, in Canada, do they have shooting ranges
Yeah.
same as in America? So
We do. There's one not far from my house. I used to have a
The
shooting
white-
range in my basement, but now it's gone. I turned it into a tattoo studio. But yeah, you can shoot here. Our gun laws are pretty strict, but there's the gun range isn't far from my house, and you can shoot up to 22 in my basement. Used to be able to, anyways.
that's fucking mint.
Nice.
Right, so there we go. Right,
That
cool.
is-
Let's get this fucking studio. Let's go fucking international. Let's get some good videos done. What's going on? Veterans, start sharing these podcasts.
And I'll tattoo you.
Yeah, I'll get a
Tattoo
bottom
you while
third
you're down,
tattoo.
too. There you go. I'll hook you up.
So
We'll
That-
get you once we get some merch. We'll get you a t-shirt and that sent out once we get some merch set up.
yeah.
I'll sell your stuff out of my shop.
Oh,
Yeah,
all in
man.
Canada as well.
I carry.
it's
There's some influencers that I carry their stuff, so I'll add your stuff to the list in my studio here.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, man. Yeah, you need to advertise your podcast.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So yeah, that's
was
what I
gonna
do
say,
now.
What influences you in bed with?
Oh, yeah, babe.
Who do I fuck?
Got
with?
something fucking tickling the side of my face. I can't work out what it
Yeah,
is.
it's called the wind.
It's probably.
Yeah,
I think it's
probably.
a bug genius.
Maybe.
Yeah. Were you Air Force? Not used to like insects and shit like that? No.
No.
Anyways, yeah. Some of my biggest and dude, this pisses me off because I started in social media like back in 2019, right? And a lot of these people I started off in social media with now are like big influencers. A lot of them I don't talk to anymore, but probably the biggest one still around in my sort of orbit is a YouTuber out of the United States. Her name is Jessica Kent. She's a former felon and like major felon. She used to run meth, worked with the cartels.
Oh, yeah, I've come across that chick actually.
Yeah, so her and
yeah.
I are
Fucking Rich's
we're
sister.
actually good. We're good friends, and it's funny because I used to be a cop, right? And I used to work narcotics. I worked plain clothes on drug operations and stuff like that. And so it's funny that we sort of kind of started off in social media together, and now she's got like millions and millions of followers. You know, she's. Do y'all remember that Tiger King craze back in the day?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Years ago? Yeah, she did a podcast with who was the old lady there that was supposed to have killed
Carol
her?
Baskin. Carol Baskin.
Yeah.
Carol
Baskin,
Baskin.
that's
She,
the-
Killed
she
as
did
we
a-
whacked him, yeah.
she- yeah. Right, so she did a podcast with old Carol Baskin there.
No
So
way.
she's pretty popular. I fuck with JD DeLay a bit too. I don't know if you guys know who JD DeLay is. He's another huge American felon podcaster out of Florida. But that's basically like those people get me. It's funny that all the shit rats kind of, the trash pandas like me, but it is what it is, being a cop.
Yeah.
Quick one on the Carol Baskin thing. Does anyone remember when someone did a cameo offer, and because obviously it's in the UK, she didn't have a clue, started going a big shout out to Jimmy. She said Savile because she didn't have a clue. It was Jimmy Savile and what's the other one called? Rolf Harris and all that. She was like Rolf Harris and the crew. Big love to you guys, and like she's
big shout out to Gary Glitter.
she's shouting out all the famous paedophiles in the UK, and she didn't have a fucking clue.
We even know about Seville out here in Canada. We're hip to the jive. We know what's going on out there.
Oh, jeez.
I don't think there's anywhere in the world that doesn't know about him, to be fair.
Oh, yeah. He's a dirtbag, that guy. But you know what? We get a lot of UK stuff here in Canada. Like, I'm a huge watcher. Now, listen, I seriously, I am a man, okay, but I watch Coronation Street. All right?
Oh.
Like, don't hate me for it. Don't,
I'll have to blur that.
It's what we got. You know what I mean? So we get a lot of UK stuff here. I think I seen Train Spotting once.
That's a brilliant film.
Yeah,
Never seen it.
Yeah, no.
Oh, it's fucking cracking.
Oh, it's actually really good, man.
What was I going to say? What were we talking about just before this?
All kinds of shit. My virginity.
Not worse, I'm forgetting.
Me laying some pipe on my parents' couch back in the 90s.
You was his hat.
I think that's what we were talking about.
You asked about the hat.
That's from the hat.
Oh, the hat. Yeah. I'll hook you up with the hat. No problems.
No. Did you go anywhere else other than Bosnia?
There we go. Yeah, that was
I
it.
did.
More military career stuff.
I did. I've been to Jamaica, Mexico, the United States.
It's some badass boys,
Hey, Wagwan, what you say? What you say? Pick up yourself. Love Jamaica. No, I've been to Afghanistan. I did 3 tours in Afghanistan.
No.
Yeah.
Were they weekends as well?
There. Sorry?
Were they weekends as well?
They were, and so what would happen is that we would show up on the border of Pakistan and Afghanistan, and a school bus would show up, right? Because the army was too cheap to actually pay for armored transport, because you get from the lowest bidder, right? Being fucking military. Yeah. So the school bus would pick you up on the border of Pakistan and Afghanistan. It would drive you in on a Friday night. You'd get issued your kit Saturday morning. We'd run around and hunt feral Taliban for, roughly about 24 hours. Then we would return back to our initial departure zone, and we would turn in all our kit get back on the school bus, and we would return back to Pakistan. All within that weekend time frame.
I'm so happy with this now. I'm going to clip that up and I'm going to put it out there into the world as if that was legitimate. That was brilliant.
Like it's to get people going.
I'm going to get so many people with that.
People come on just to listen because they want to know what the fuck he's on about.
Dude, it was so bad, actually. My first deployment into Afghanistan was when the war kind of first started over there. And I don't know if any of you were clued in back then, but us as Canadians, we had just switched out of, for the longest time, we were in just plain olive drab uniforms, right? And when the war in Afghanistan first started, we first switched over to camouflage uniforms, right? And we had different, we had temperate, we had arid, and there was an Arctic version as well. Now, the problem was that when the government announced these things, they didn't really have enough of them. So our first deployment of guys into Afghanistan went into desert combat in temperate, so green uniforms. And by the time I got there, which was about a year and a half into the war, they had these desert cam uniforms for us, but we had to switch off as we came in. So literally, as you were getting off the plane, picking up your stuff, there were guys dumping their stuff into that box that you were picking yours out of, and they were loading on the plane to get out of there. So we were essentially exchanging our uniforms
Second
as we
down pants.
passed by each
Yeah.
other.
Fighting in another man's fatigues. That's fucking ridiculous.
Yeah,
That's
man.
what it is.
Like, and you didn't get to keep shit. I think the only uniform bits I have from my first deployment, and that was the only deployment that I really wore a uniform on in Afghanistan. But I kept my helmet band, and I think I have a couple undershirts and some schmogs. And other than that, that was it. Everything else got turned in. Like your camelbacks, all of that stuff got turned in and reused.
So
Is it
I'm a
reused
bit.
Canada? Crikey.
I'm a bit ignorant to this, but I think it's quite an interesting question. So we've obviously got Remembrance Day, and I've seen on your hand that you've got the poppy. Is that the same thing with Canada? Do you have like the poppy to symbolise? Because I don't think the Yanks have the poppy to symbolise sort of like falling of the.
They do actually.
Oh, do they?
The
That's what I mean. I don't know.
do, but it's just not a popular thing, and it was bigger, from my understanding. Like when I talked to my mom and other families who happen to be Yanks, I don't hold it against them, but yeah, they said that more back in the day it was kind of a thing, but here in Canada, it's recognized. Like everybody, basically, kind of towards the end of October, and then till the 11th, will wear poppies. There's veterans out of the Legion selling poppies at like your local stores,
Yeah.
your grocery stores, and stuff like that. So
Well, I suppose you were
Yeah,
still
so
part
it's
of the British
the same
Empire.
over here.
In World War One, you were still part of the British Empire, so technically, we were all fighting as part of
World
the.
War II as well. and
Yeah, yeah.
Korea.
But I'm just saying, no, World War One was when the poppy originated, though. I'm saying
Yeah.
from Flanders Field, and so the British Empire was still all. We were all fighting as the British Empire back then.
So
we were, and sorry to
Australia's
cut
the
you
same
off
then.
there.
Yeah.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah,
And New Zealand.
But World War One is a big thing for Canada because there's a lot of like historians in Canada that argue that that was like the birthplace of Canada, because we took Vimy Ridge, right? Because you folk couldn't do it after 2 tries, so you sent us in, and we did it first
that's a
go,
big-
right? Just to show you how it's done.
Wow.
Yeah,
just a
so
slight, just a
after,
slight dig.
after we kicked ass, took names and drank some maple syrup. That's where people say we became a country, right? Yeah, and Canada has done it over and over. And we were British Empire, World War II, even into Korea. We didn't become sort of on our own until like the 80s, which is
Right.
pretty wild. We didn't get our flag that we have now until the 60s.
Yeah, I know about that. Yeah.
Right, that was my next question. So, because
Oh,
usually
okay.
Commonwealth have got like the Union flag, haven't they, in the corner?
Yeah.
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 It was
They
all
do.
originally they're all
We
like red
used
flag.
to.
Red flag it was.
Yeah, we used to. It's called the Red Ensign. We used to have that, and but that's gone now. And unfortunately, with a lot of the sort of woke mentality, people see that flag as like, oh, it's a flag of colonization and blah blah blah. But whatever, I really appreciate it. I understand our roots with the empire, and it is what it is, whether we like it or not. I understand that that's where I served. That's who I serve. Well, not where I serve, but who I served for, right? Because the Queen is and the King is our head of state, essentially, and they're our commander in chief. It's not like the States where the president is their commander in chief, not our prime minister. It's our governor general who acts as hand for the crown. So there are some very close ties.
I think out of the what did you say then, Alex?
Fuck the woke.
Yeah, fuck the woke. I think out of the four of us, I'm the imposter here. I've got nothing to do with the Commonwealth. So I'm Eastern European. I'm Eastern European at birth.
Yeah. Tell him about. Speak your language.
Fuck that.
Hey, I mean, to be fair, I'm quite close to you because I'm half German. No, quarter German.
Quarter German. I mean, you're closer to me than I am. Yeah, I suppose. But I wouldn't say you're. Well, no, I won't touch that. No, carry on. Someone take over quick. I was going to go on something then. No.
So I didn't like where they were going.
tell us the story of how you got on to do the military police stuff. Because I'll just quickly say, within the Canadian military police, you work alongside like they're sworn in as constables or whatever you call them over there. So they do police duties as well. So they have the same powers as a civilian police officer.
Yeah.
What?
So
That's mad.
Yeah,
here
there
in
you go.
Canada, we are very different from just about every other NATO compatriot that we work with. I don't know if somebody's phone is going off there,
Yeah,
but we
I
should
heard that.
probably edit that out. Anyways, so we actually, if you go in our criminal code, we are specifically listed as police officers. So throughout my time, I worked with all kinds of different civilian police agencies. Like I mentioned this earlier, but I worked narcotics. I did surveillance. I was part of it's called ONGIA, which is the Ontario Gang Investigators Association. So I did some work with gangs and guns and gangs, drugs, all kinds of stuff. It's pretty wild here how it works. We try not to really engage outside of the base, but if there is a military nexus to what we're doing, we'll take it wherever. Like the next kind of biggest town or biggest city from the base I used to work at, it's called Barrie. And it's about a half hour north, 45 minutes north of the base I worked at. And I got a commendation because I did a high risk takedown, like gun drawn, in downtown Barrie. So I got a commendation for taking out 3 guys.
No.
So we carry the same authority, the same power. And the absolutely stupid thing is that for the longest time as military police, we could charge people criminally, but we couldn't charge them in the military. It wasn't until I got into our major crimes unit. I don't know if you all watch like TV, but there's a show called NCIS.
Yes, I was just
so
about
I
to
was-
say that. Yeah.
I was the Canadian version of NCIS. I belonged to a unit called CFNIS. And yeah, if there was a military nexus to it, we would go anywhere. You know, I had files in Germany. I had files all over the place. Like I said, I worked plain clothes on a drug unit, all kinds of stuff, surveillance. I'm actually a qualified forensic interviewer. So that means that I'm like a human lie detector. I've got all kinds of crazy courses and stuff like that. And
Fuck.
had a wild
That's
time.
class.
My military police career was wild, dude. Like,
Yeah.
I spent more time out of uniform in the last half of my career than I did in uniform.
So here's
Yeah,
one for you.
Hold on,
You can put your mention.
I've got one with a yes or no. During that
Right.
time, did you ever ND? That's my question. Or
ND?
oh,
Can
like
you shoot meaning to
Negative.
by your
Ghost.
weapon?
no
No,
negligent
I
discharge.
may have. Listen, I may have prematurely ejaculated, but I never had an ND.
Right, Andy
Kind of
McNabb's a
same
shit house
shit,
from what
right?
I've heard. Andy McNabb's just shit.
I was going to say here, it's not a funny dip, but he actually you saved. What was that thing? A school shooting you prevented.
I did, yeah. That's another thing too. I should have brought the fucking
Well,
newspaper article with
We'll
me.
put it on here. Send us the picture. And we'll put it up on the screen.
I'll send you an image. Yeah, back in 2008, I stopped a mass shooting from happening here.
Fucking Christ.
Yeah, dude. You all have cadets out there in England, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Ricky's one of them.
What is he, like a fucking corporal in the cadets now or something?
He's a sergeant
Nah,
lieutenant.
just a lance corporal. Sergeant lieutenant.
So
No,
yeah,
surely it's lieutenant sergeant, isn't it?
Lieutenant Bombardier.
So yeah. Anyways, we at the base I worked at, like it's one of the largest bases in Canada, and we have a cadet camp there. It's a major cadet training center, and it deals with air cadets and army cadets. Like, there's easily a couple thousand people down there. And I was like the MP. We called it like a sheriff position. So I worked as a sheriff down there, and it's a lot like a high school resource officer kind of thing. But this CIC, these are commissioned officers that supervise cadet training, so they're actually in the military. And this one CIC officer that was down there, he was like a second lieutenant, and he had some kind of issues, and he threatened to kill like anybody and everybody, specifically the darker skinned folks, the brothers and the sisters out there. He was very specific about that. And he went around and he handed out bandages, like field dressings and first aid kits to people before he left the camp, right? Like he was getting kicked out. He made all these threats and shit. And there were a few people that he liked and he gave them first aid kits. And then he left. He left the camp, took off to go home, which was about 45 minutes away. And the dude had like easily 30 firearms. He had a machine gun, lots of handguns. And when we kicked in the door, like even doing the warrants, like by the time it took me 2 days of solid work basically to get the warrants to kick in his house, but I had sent a surveillance team and a SWAT team out, like a true team or whatever, like a TAC unit, into the neighborhood where the guy lived. He was in the basement apartment of a house. And so we didn't want to tip him off that we were in the neighborhood kind of thing, but we basically cordoned off the neighborhood. We got to all the neighbors and stuff like that, said, listen, you got to stay in your house or get the fuck out now because shit's about to go down. And then surreptitiously, we sent a surveillance team into the upper floor apartment, like the top floor of the house. We got the mom out. We got her 2 kids out. Once they were confirmed clear, the neighborhood was tight. We booted the door. And when we kicked in the door, he was sitting on his couch. And you know how before you go out to fuck shit up, right? You're breaking your ammo down, make it easy for tactical changes and shit like that. And that's what he was doing. And not one of the weapons in his house was stored safely. They were all sitting out in front of him. Like I said, he had loaded weapons there. He was good to go, dude. And it was pretty close. It could have been really bad. The guy did a lot of time, relatively speaking, for Canada. It was a wild, like I wasn't even a cop for a year at this point in time, and I was dealing with it all on my own. But it was pretty wild, and it was national news when it happened. So,
Well,
yeah,
Jesus.
I can applaud you twofold. One, for obviously that fucking amazing story, but two, the fact that you said lieutenant and not lieutenant.
Yeah.
yeah, they ain't looking after the shitters over here like the Americans do, right?
Lieutenant
big
is the way forward. As much as I don't like officers.
That's right. Well, a loo is a shit house, right? So our officers don't look after shit houses like the Americans do.
Bit of a change of conversation, but have you ever had an STI?
Oh,
That's a good one.
Negative.
no.
No, but you told me a story when you thought you got one. Remember when you thought you had one?
I thought, yeah, definitely. I thought I had the drip, bro. This was when I went off into the infantry. And I was living in Winnipeg. I was a Princess Patricia Canadian Light Infantry out of 2 Battalion there in Winnipeg. And we had just come back. We spent a month doing our infantry qualification in Fort Knox, Kentucky. And we come back. And the first night we come back, I go out on the town. I'm out on the piss in downtown Winnipeg. And I'm going to tear a strip off that night. That's my goal. And your hole is my goal. So anyways, and I'm a big punk rock guy, right? And so I found the local punk rock bar in town. It was called the Toad in the Hole, of all things. But I end up at the Toad in the Hole. And this young lady from Winnipeg, she was my age, actually. So, I think 20 at the time I was. Anyways, we hooked up that night, and dude, I was laying pipe all night, all morning, in my shack. And in my shack, there's 3 other guys. So it's a 4-bed shack, and I am just absolutely plowing for no tomorrow in front of my 3 buddies, right? One of them, I'm pretty sure, is touching himself in the corner.
Nah, honorary. That's it. Got to be done.
That's it, mate. It'd be rude not to.
Either that or
So,
join in.
anyways, yeah. So I'm doing it, and I'm getting her done, ladies and gentlemen. I'm doing the job, right? And you got to remember that Winnipeg is like, even for Canada, it's like a cold place, right? Like it gets. I mean, I've been up in the Arctic, and it was warmer in the Arctic than Winnipeg. And so we used to go over these long. We used to go for
As-
these long runs. Yeah, go ahead there.
That's something to
Mind
do
Willie.
with it being in a bowl, isn't it?
Yeah, I think so. It just
Yeah,
collects the
it's-
wind and stuff.
Yeah. I was talking to someone when I was out in, where the fuck was I? Yukon. They were saying they was from Winnipeg, and it's something to do with it being basically in the bottom of a fucking bowl at the. Is there a glacier at the top of the canyon as well or something?
Yeah, it all kind of boils back to back in the
Yeah.
day when the glaciers and everything were splitting, and so it sits in this like really low land, and the way the winds blow, like it's got to be one of the coldest places in North America, that's for sure. Excuse me.
That was a really
Um,
shit day. I'm sorry, but yeah.
Just get a really big poncho.
So to top it off,
Deflect the
so
wind.
here we are. So we've got to do these like 8-kilometer runs in the morning, and this like the only way you can't do it is like if it hits minus 32, then we'll do PT indoors. All right. Other
Ooh.
than that, you're PTing outside. And like
He
when you come in,
shows the t-shirt.
I'll hook you up, bro. And
Well,
So-
I don't even know what you said,
I
Alex.
got to finish the story about
But
my drip here, right?
And finish.
Oh, yeah.
So anyways, right? It's like colder than a witch's tit out there, and we're running for like 8 kilometers. And damn, if like when I come back from those runs, when I piss, it's like I got to get my buddies to pull me off the ceiling because it hurt so bad. It sent me up like a cat on the way to the vet or some shit. And so it's like I'm pissing razor blades. And so I tell my sergeant, my section commander, I said, "Hey, Sarge, listen, I just hooked up with this broad out in St. Vital, and I don't know what's going on, but bro, something ain't wrong. Something ain't right down there, dude. I gotta go talk to the medics." Yeah, whatever, go ahead. So I go down to the medics, and the med tech is like, "All right, you gotta get some lubrication going out of your thingamajigger there." And I said, "Sure, not a problem." So I whipped it out and I started just going at it like like it owed me money. And so once I got some of that liquid lubricant going, doesn't buddy pull out this, like, it looks like a cocktail umbrella, what
Yeah.
you get in those. Yeah. Pulls that sucker out and he's like, "Well, we're going to shove this down your hog." And so we call it the backwards umbrella there. And it went down range and came back, and they run bacterial tests on that. And I tell you, that's got to be one of the most painful things I've ever experienced in my life. Now, fortunately, I got to tell you, when that bacterial came back, it wasn't thanks to my new lady friend and our leisurely relations. It had to do with the fact that it was colder than balls out, and I was actually starting to get frostbite on my junk. So what I had to start doing was I used to have to run with my dick out of my underwear, and I would tuck it into a sock. And so I had my junk in a sock, and that's how I would do my runs, and that's what prevented any further freezing to my weenus and me blaming her for said problems.
So going back to
So no, I've never had an STD or an
so
STI.
going to back to that. My first test was I felt something dodgy in Iraq, and I was like, oh fuck! It was 2004, and I was like, I need to go to the med set, like the not med tent, it was a tent, the med tent. So I went to the med tent. It was a staffy in desert kit, a bloke, like a soldier. For me, it felt so wrong. I was an 18-year-old boy, and he's just like, "Drop your pants." He's like a colour sergeant, and I was like, "All right." So it's like, just I felt like an 18-year-old boy, just dropped my pants for a staffy. He's like, get your dick. And I was like, and then he just grabbed it, and then it's got a coffee. It was like a coffee stirrer, and just stuck it straight down my Jap side. And I was like, and then I spewed up all over.
A backwards umbrella.
Violated, man.
Hey, hang on, what the
Yeah.
fuck? Who was you shagging in Iraq, man?
No, it was
Iraq?
actually not. It
Yeah.
wasn't. I didn't get it in Iraq. It was obviously
And
before I went, and then it was while I got out there, and I
sure.
started feeling
Never
like,
mind that camel walking awkwardly outside the fire, right?
Yeah.
I wasn't banging any of the locals.
I was going to say, what the fuck?
Hearts
But
and
no,
minds, mate.
G-Man, what I was going to say, do you know what you were saying about doing PT in like minors fucking whatever? Like, are you still doing PT in shorts and a t-shirt?
No. All right. So we'll wear track pants. I don't know if you have those in the UK.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, but
Just
we
like
wear
joggers,
track
yeah,
pants.
joggers.
No, we're not
Yeah,
allowed them,
track
though.
pants and a hoodie and a toque.
A toque.
The fuck is a toque?
A toque. I knew this would catch you all. It's like when I tell Americans that we get our milk in bags here. So a toque is like a beanie.
Okay, yeah.
You know,
okay,
similar to a balaclava, but it doesn't cover your face.
Yeah,
It just
Yeah,
yeah. So that's
Oh.
what we'd wear.
yeah.
Fucking
just a
hell.
woolly hat then. A woolly hat.
Well,
No, yeah. Well, they are like if you get them issued, they're made of wool and they itch like you just shaved your balls and it. You know what I mean? Like you
Yeah.
get that itch and it's just painful. Yeah, that's what the wool toques are. They're no good. So we get you buy fleece toques and they let you wear those. Those feel
Okay,
good.
yeah.
Those feel good.
I'm assuming this is like international, but if someone rocked up not wearing a jacket for PT, did you ever have it so the fucking PTI be like, right, everyone, jackets off. We all looking uniformal in battalion as well. Have you never had that?
No, because I like you folks still have like military people that run your PT, right?
Yeah.
Right, yeah.
Like you have
PTI.
so yeah, that ended like a year or two after my combat leaders course because it was part of our course was to do like how to run your guys through PT and stuff, right? But they got rid of that and now it's run by civilians. So we have like civilian trainers, like fitness people that come in and run your PT.
Like proper personal trainers.
Yeah, like personal trainers. They come in and they run your PT, and it tends to be pretty, lackluster in a way.
Lackluster. Right. It's very interesting.
Mm-hmm.
I had so a 2IC guard commander in Afghan. I was sat down being runner, just full rig, and he was just talking at me. I wasn't really paying attention, but then he said something quite interesting, which was, if you want me to behave like an athlete, treat me like an athlete. So it was going on about like the food in Afghan is evidently shit, and it was just backing up his point a little bit, and it was just sort of like get some scientists together and come up with like constructive meals with variety that so like Sodexo could just make. They don't have to like worry about the sort of like the menu. They have the menu set out for them, and then they just have to get the ingredients. And then you have nutritionists, and you have like check-ins with like PTIs and like a civic PTI that will be there as well, and they'll check your stats individually, what you need to do to improve and stuff like that. Still have like your company PT, but treat the individual as an athlete. And then you sort of like talk about the psychology of it, of if you're in that mindset, sort of like SAS, because you have to be like fit all the time and whatever. Then you'll behave like an athlete. You know, where they're not allowed to drink, like footballers aren't allowed to drink on season, only when the season finishes and stuff like that. You'll start behaving in sort of like this little routine. And it was going on about how companies, I think Rangers do this. So you'll have a company that's on, basically like getting ready to deploy out on ops whenever. You have a company that's off, which is always on leave, and that's when they can have their rest, like drink period. The people that are on will be in the athlete phase where they'll be eating correctly, doing phys, whatever. And then you have like your reserve, which is a bit in the middle. And it was going for like, it was talking about the psychology of it. Bear in mind, I'm like fucking 36 hours, no sleep. I'm like listening to this idiot chat shit. But it sort of like resonated with me was to like how the army, like this is why I go on my mad rants on TikTok. Because when I hear shit like this, I'm like, that makes sense. Why is that not implemented? And then clearly Canada is like 10 steps ahead. Now I want to fucking sign up to Canada fucking troops. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like you that's basically how our rotations. I mean, things may have changed since I've been out. I mean, fuck, I retired like 10 years ago, right? So, I mean, a lot may have changed, but how it worked was that we had one part, like Canada basically breaks down into three parts. You have our West Coast, you have our East Coast, and you have our central, central Canada. And so that's how we worked our rotations. That one part of the military in Canada would be on rotation. You would have one that would be off, sorting themselves out, coming, and they would just be off of rotation. And then the other ones would be training to go up. So you would have all those different phases going on, but it was basically based on your geographic region, like what battle group you belong to, or what battalion you belong to, kind of thing in Canada.
It does make sense, but
That makes sense.
It's like a budget thing, though, isn't it? But
we're all about budget. We're cheaper than the Scottish and the Dutch over here.
So yeah, I don't know if I explained that very well, but obviously people listening.
I get what you mean.
If you fucking,
I'm thick as fuck.
If you're up there in the fucking higher echelons of what should I call it, Parliament, and you feel like that's a good idea, implement it. There you go. That's from Big Danny.
It's an easy way to do it. DDC man, who's listened to this, just fucking ping it over to a politician. You know what I mean? It's a random ass fucking story, right? So I was out on the piss down in London last year sometime. Managed to bump into a 77 brigade, which is GMAN. That's their fucking brigade that they fucking operate under. And when you see somebody like that dude's a squaddy. I know he's a squaddy. It just looks like a squaddy. He's got squaddy mentality. Like he's a squaddy anyway. So I noticed it. I started chin wagging, and I was just fucking, I was just fucking down here on a military. I can't remember what the fuck I was down there for, but whatever, got onto military. No, that was it. Because he asked me how I lost my eye. So I says, I was in the army, blah, 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 blah. He said, fucking hell, that's interested. Yeah, I'm serving now. And I was like, fucking quality, what you in? And he was like really reluctant to tell me. And I was just like, no, come on. Like, it's just, it doesn't fucking matter to me. I don't give a shit. It's not like I'm going to go all over the internet and tell him. And he was like, yeah. Well, the thing is, I can't actually remember his fucking name because I was 11. But and he's like, I'm 77. I was like, oh shit, that's cool. Like, I bet you get to see some fucking wild shit. And then he got chin wagger with him and stuff. And then like later in the night, I says, you want to add us on Instagram or fucking WhatsApp or whatever, and just fucking so we can not hook up, but meet up again later and have a whatever. And he was like, I'm not on social medias. And I was like, you what? What do you mean you're not on social media? Okay, yeah. Makes sense. Makes fucking sense.
The amount they know doesn't scratch the surface how much
phenomenal.
We don't know.
For you to know that basically the 77 Brigade is they're the ones who do all the internet, social media, freaking all that kind of cycle. Doing all the kind of anything psyops, anything online. They deal with it all. Yeah. So yeah,
these are pretty shit.
That's pretty crazy. I worked with I did an exercise. I was doing security for we call it comms research. And they kind of do all that sort of stuff here in Canada. And it was an international exercise. And those guys get up to some pretty crazy shit, like things that I couldn't know, even providing security for them. They wouldn't let us in on it. But they deal with some pretty far out stuff,
Yeah, I just find it mega fucking fascinating because I've also got a comedian mate who's up in Edinburgh doing the Edinburgh Fringe this week. She was in corps as well, and I've had fucking daft fucking conversations with her with what she used to get into, and it just fucking blows my mind, like ridiculously blows my mind. Like
it's pretty crazy
that they fucking do, yeah.
Like
and how they go about doing it as well.
Yeah, but the cool thing is, I don't know how your MPs work, but here in Canada, our counterintelligence is done by military police, and that's pretty interesting. Like we work with CSIS and RCMP doing counterintelligence. It's pretty cool. But I don't know if your MPs get up to that or if that's left to your intelligence agencies or not.
We
I'll
had
be
something
honest,
called
I have absolutely no idea.
we had something called a whiz team, which was made. These were ones who sort of like, let's say a device gets found, they analyse the device. It basically it's made up of military police, military intelligence, and ATO, like EOD technician, and it's made up of like the three, so they kind of together they work as a team to
Oh,
try
that's
to figure
cool.
out the makeup of a bomb and where therefore like how they're being made, what we can do to try to, all that kind of basically the chemistry behind the device, if you like.
Yeah,
That's
because
so neat.
each device has got each device maker has got a signature,
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
and yeah. So how they put stuff together, or let's say how they are soldering two wires together, is unique to an individual,
yeah. So
and
the military
that's how
people,
they work. Yeah.
they
So
can do the forensic side of it. The intelligence would deal with that stuff, and then obviously the EOD guy would be dealing with obviously the makeup of it, and like so each part has
Yeah.
their input of the device.
When I was with the CFNIS, one of our investigators, there were 6 of us that were investigators out of that office, and one of them was a forensic bomb guy, and was trained down with the FBI out in Quantico, and used to investigate bombings in Afghanistan and stuff like that. So that was one of our jobs, was one of our tasks at my unit.
this is very top third behavior. I'm gonna switch fire if
Oh,
everyone's
yeah.
made
No,
a point.
not heard.
I want to
Yeah,
know.
well,
I want to know
don't build
about
us
some
up into this.
Canadian willows. That's what I want to know. Some Canadian biffs, some mongs. I want to know
Mm.
about the
the one who's
fucking
fucked up.
the bottom thirds of Canada.
You're looking at one.
That's ideal. What's the weirdest story you've come across, or something that you've seen?
Oh,
Stupidest.
man.
Yeah.
The stupidest.
We've had some real shit rats in my time. Like I've seen some, especially being an MP. Like I've seen some
That's what I mean.
real.
Oh, so the people you must have arrested, man. Come on.
Oh
Been some
yeah,
dick.
yeah. So we had this one guy. I don't want to say his name, but
No, you don't say his name.
he was a friggin' no names, no pack drill, right? But he was a frequent flyer with us, you could say. And like I had arrested the guy multiple times, like probably 3 or 4 times. And I know that other guys on the other shifts had pinched him just as often, right? Like he was in and out of cells all the time. Anyways, this guy goes out to Barrie, like that's the town that's just north of us. I think I talked about it earlier. But he goes out to Barrie and he buys a car. And the car now is being sold, though, is like parts only. Like it's not safe to drive. So it's like
Scrap.
it's
We
salvage,
call it
right?
scrap. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, scrap. So doesn't my homie here, my frequent flyer, he buys this car, drives it without not registering it, no licensing, no insurance, no shit like that. And on his way back to base, he stops, rips license plates off of a parked car. So he steals license plates, puts them onto this car. Back to base. Once he gets on base, he's speeding now. And he goes to head off. Like the base is kind of broken up. Like there's you've got shacks for people that are on courses, and that's part of the Air Force side. Then you have like the training schools, and you have like the family homes, like what do we call them, PMQs, like where the families live and shit like
the
that.
pads.
Yeah.
Anyways, so Home Slice here he's decided he's going to go and show his new whip to his homies out in the training area where all the students are, and he's speeding, takes a curve, and because this thing is scrap, doesn't one of the axles fall off of it? He spins out, crashes into another car. He's already a suspended driver. All right.
Ooh.
He's not supposed to be off pace. No insurance. Injured in the accident, so he cries and makes us take him to the hospital. But yeah, just a total shitbag, man. This guy was always in trouble for one thing or another. Like he would sell his kit. Do you guys have Kijiji out there in the UK? Do you have anything like Facebook Marketplace?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay, so what this guy would
Yeah.
do is that he would sell his gear, like his issued kit, on like Kijiji and Facebook, but he would like have his name, like he would show a picture of like his jacket, and you would see his name and his last three of his service number written into it, and he would sell that shit off on Facebook. So he was constantly getting nailed for that stuff. Like, yeah, just a total shit
fucking
man,
wrong, yeah, yeah.
you know.
Last three. How
And then
many?
you get the waltz.
How
You
many
get the Walter middies.
numbers do you have in your
Did-
army number? Because we have. How many do we have? 8.
8.
Yeah, we have 8.
We're 8-2.
Let's
It's
count that.
alphanumeric. Yeah, so it's alphanumeric. It starts off with a letter, then 2 numbers, and then 6 numbers after that.
Okay.
So, yeah. So his last 3, and usually that's how you identify yourself, is by last 3. You don't use your whole service number. But yeah, that guy was a total shit rat. What are some other funny ones? We had a Walter Mitty. He was like a corporal or something like that, and he thought he was like a badass sergeant, like in the special forces, all this kind of shit. And he would go to this local wing joint just off base, right? And he would he called himself, and again, I don't want to use his name, so it's kind of hard to tell you what he called himself, but
I'll blur it.
I'll just say that the ladies, the waitresses here at this place thought that he was something special, and so did he. And like I caught him wearing medals he didn't earn, rank he didn't earn. He had our special forces are called JTF2, or
Yeah.
John's Turkey Farm. Yeah, so he had on a John's Turkey Farm assaulter pin, and obviously didn't earn it. And when we went to arrest him, he like pretended to faint, and he's like a big dude too, like built like a brick shit house, 7 foot tall, shoots lightning bolts out of his ass, but just totally made up, fabricated his whole career. And yeah, he went down like a little biatch when
So-
we went to arrest him.
Is that what you call
So
him as
was he
well?
an actual
Sorry?
serving soldier?
Yeah, he was,
Oh,
but
right,
he
okay.
he
We call him-
embellished what his
Yeah.
service
So,
was.
so we call them bloaters
Bloaters.
over here. Mm.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
So a Walt is someone who never served, someone who served,
Okay.
but then says like, say it was me and I said I was in the SAS and did 12 years in the SAS and did all this. That would be a bloater.
Oh, right.
Yeah, but
yeah,
I didn't even know that.
Oh,
Oh.
you
Did you
know.
not?
No, I've never heard a bloater before in my life.
Yeah, bloaters mean you're blowing your
Uh,
career, you're blowing it up to make it look fucking
Yeah.
good because you
Oh yeah.
you know you might
So
have
this
just
guy
done-
would have been a blow up then. Yeah, he was a total knob.
So is that what you call them as well? Do you call them Walter Mitties, or do you have Stolen Valor? Because I know.
No, we usually go by stolen valor, but our stolen valor here is very different than what it is in the States. And you know, like the technical term for it, like for us, you have to wear like rank, medals, things you didn't earn, and
Is it
well, maybe
illegal?
that's my phone going on right now. But anyways, yeah, it's so when you're wearing shit you didn't earn, that's a criminal offense here in
It's not
Canada.
here.
Oh, really?
You're allowed to
Nah.
waltz. So the only difference in the law, right, is if you're doing it for financial gain, just say I was wearing medals and going around saying, "Oh, I'm collecting for something," or I'm pretending to be poorly and I've got medals on, then I could
Yeah.
be done for fraud. It's a fraud case. But if I want to walk around town now wearing medals that aren't mine, I'd obviously get called out for being a dirty little wall. But you won't be arrested for it. Bullshit.
Oh yeah, here arrested and charged easily,
Fucking hell.
Yeah, you're allowed.
easily.
What
Well,
what
yeah.
sort of sentence are they looking at for that sort of
Yeah.
activity?
Okay, so
Like-
for that here in Canada is it falls under what's called a hybrid offense. So we have 2 types of offenses, technically 3. You have indictable, summary, and then hybrid. And summary offenses are a mix of, or sorry, hybrid offenses are a mix of the indictable and the summary offenses. And so it could be anything as little as a fine, and it could be up to like a couple of years in jail. It all depends.
Oh,
like, if
shit.
you're- yeah, if you're like an absolute repeat offender, they're gonna throw you in the hoosegow for a minute.
It definitely needs to be treated with a bit more severity when fucking people get caught out. But
Yeah, it's
Well, sh-
frustrating.
with people not even getting like, I don't know. No, that's something I need to think on more before I comment.
So-
Yeah.
One more thing. Do you know what haggis is?
I absolutely know what a haggis is.
Right.
I've got
Well,
one
I know
quite
you
around
do.
behind me.
You do, but when I was on training with the Canadians before, we thought we'd wind them up because obviously they were young lads, didn't have a clue, and we said, oh, we're going to go haggis shooting. So you come in, do you want to put your name down? It's like an after, duty thing. And he was like, yeah, what is it? What's a haggis? And so we're like describing it because we're saying that they're on mountains and they've got 2 legs, one leg, 2 legs shorter than the other, so they can walk on mountains just and be stable. And they're like these little furry black things with one eye in the centre of the head. And the fucking Canadians like, oh wow, we're like, they're really hard to shoot, so you got to be a real good shot on that. And the Canadians like couldn't wait to go shoot them. We had a list and we had all the Canadians' names on this list to go do this shoot, haggis shooting.
Oh yeah, dude! You give us a chance to shoot something, we'll shoot it. Doesn't matter if it's real or not. We're gonna go out and fucking shoot it.
We'll see that one eye, man. One eye in the centre of his head. Fucking
That's too funny, man.
Do you know what?
What we used to do.
I was gonna. There's a course thing. Because I was signed off. I had like 4 days left, and one of the lads, who Dave is slightly based off as well, like from the characters that I've made up. There's a new thing that they made where they print off courses, right? Laminate the sheet, but there's a QR code. So you scan the QR code and you sign on to the course yourself, and so you don't have to keep asking your fucking platoon commander, like for courses. You just scan it and then you might get picked out of a hat. Right, but obviously with that, squaddies being squaddies, this lad scanned it and put my name down for a mortars course, and I had 4 days left. I don't know why I'm going on to this dit now. What was the fucking dit before this? There is a punchline.
Haggis.
Haggis.
We're talking about haggis.
That's it. So yeah, so signing people up to random courses. If it still happens that there's a fucking QR code thing, please someone sign up like Willow or something, like make up a character and send it into the bottom third. I want to see it happen. Yeah, there you go.
But we used to like, because we trained a lot with the Yanks down south, right? And
Yanks are easy to wind up. Go on.
Oh, and they're like I tell you, especially the Southerners, they can be really polite, like, and I felt kind of bad taking advantage of their ignorance, but like. Guys would use Canadian, like we have a store in Canada called Canadian Tire, and it's like Canada's junk drawer. So if there was anything that you could think of, like minuscule, whatever, like you're looking for a car battery or a fucking something to uncork a bottle of wine, you're gonna find it at Canadian Tire, right? And they had their own money, so when you bought shit, instead of change, they give you back Canadian Tire money. And so guys would bring this Canadian Tire money down south with them. And because it looked legit, it looked like real bills, right? Guys would buy drinks and shit. And the Americans were clueless about it, dude. I remember one time, it was probably my first time going down south. And I was 19. And so in Canada, you can drink at 19. But down in the States, you got to be like fucking 41 to drink because they're so weird.
Yeah, I've never really understood that.
So I ended up at a Hooters in was it Knoxville, Kentucky, and end up at this Hooters, and I get ID'd because I'm baby faced, right? Like I'm not even shaven at this point in time, and so this waitress looks at my ID and she's like, I can't serve you. You're only 19. You have to be like 41 here in Kentucky in order to marry your cousin or to buy beer. And so I said, listen. The thing is that you Yanks, you work off of the imperial system, right? Here in Canada, we're off of the metric. So by metric standards and according to metric measurements, I'm actually like 35. So, really, I should be allowed to drink here. And she's like, oh, I feel so bad. I thought you were too young. And yeah, she ended up buying me a drink that night. And we talked for a while.
That's summing it up. How easy they are to wind up.
That is the fucking king of blags, isn't it?
That is the biggest blag. That's a king or blag. That's brilliant. Yeah. See, well, if you look at the metric system, I'm actually 94.
It worked perfect, man. It worked perfect. We rolled up back to the shacks that night in Knox in Kentucky, and fucking we were all pissed as a newt. We had a stack. We had all stolen the pint glasses that we had been drinking out of, so we had this huge stack of glasses. And oh man, the Americans were not impressed with us. We had a good time.
Sat in a fucking field.
Yeah, I don't know why.
Are you camping out?
No. I'm no.
She
Your old
fancy
lady kicked you
chain.
out.
You what?
Your old lady kicked you out.
No.
Yeah.
I can't go in for reasons. Can't tell you why.
Okay.
Okay. Oh.
Yeah, go sit in
No,
a
no.
It's a
field
big
and
secret.
go sit in a field and think
They-
about what you've done, not washing these pots.
No, there is a reason why I'm out in the field.
That's not
But
even
I can't
DPM.
tell you.
That's not DPM, though, is it? That's something else. That's some wild cam or that.
No.
It's like
dunno.
American looking.
Yeah.
That's like
Yeah.
the
It's
American.
my
pattern there.
rusty zipper. It's my
Like
rusty
the old
zipper
Yankee,
jacket.
like the old Yankee cup. I don't know.
Rusty.
You rusty
My ru-
zipper.
rusty
That's what they call the skin between your ass and your balls. The rusty
Yeah.
zipper.
It's banging jacket. Fucking warm as fuck. Fleece landed.
Oh, that looks nice, man.
It's fucking toasty. And it's like
Yeah.
really long as well.
Oh, look at you.
Yeah. It's a sleeping
You can
bag
take
with
your
arms.
pants off.
It's a
so you wouldn't
fucking
know.
Yeah.
trench coat. It's what fucking streakers use.
Yeah, no
That's
shit.
what-
You knew
that's
under
what-
that thing?
My missus calls it my hobo jacket.
No, that's
what
a
you're
stag
doing. You're-
jacket.
You're sitting out there dogging, bro. You're out there dogging, flashing people in your fucking jacket.
That's when you're on stag, mate. So when you,
I mean,
you don't
I'm-
get
I'm-
bored on stag, and you get your head down.
Yeah.
Fucking right.
Mate, I was laid down there earlier on, like with my head up against the long grass, just fucking monging it, just waiting for half six to come round. And I was genuinely like nearly falling asleep.
Mate, you are the definition of multicam. You've got fucking desert, woodland. What's that fucking?
Green.
Got like lightweight. Woo!
Oh, you
Is that another church skit?
Yeah.
Oh my
It's
god.
like the world's smallest chair. Look at that.
A Canadian. Oh, that was my question as well.
Oh, go on.
What rifle do Canadians use? Sticks and
M4,
stones.
isn't
isn't it?
We primarily use a C7A2 now.
What's a C782?
So
Oh,
it's
I know,
like
yeah.
like an M16 kind of the
Yeah, see, that's what I
AR-15 sort of
guess, yeah.
style thing, M4 kind of looking thing. But the butts on it are adjustable. And other than that, it looks like an AR-15 from the front. And they're kind of a larger, more awkward weapon. I had them when I was in the infantry, when I was armored, but as an MP, I carried a SIG 226, as 225 in Canada, 226 overseas, and then the carbine M4.
Mm.
Nice. I fired the carbine M4. It's pretty cool.
They're nice, those little rifles, man. They're good for CQB, stuff like that.
So yeah, they're
Shooting
shit
out of
for long
cars and
range. Yeah,
stuff.
shit for long range stuff.
Are
They
you,
are.
I was going to say, are you in multicam as well now, or have you got your own pattern?
No, we're still working off of that CAD pat sort of thing, but they've altered some of the tints or the shades. And we're still going off of a digital pattern. The only guys that are really wearing the multicam now are like CSOR, which is our they're the Canadian Special Operations Regiment. They're sort of one step down from John's Turkey Farm. So they do wear uniforms, but John's Turkey Farm, they wear whatever the hell they want.
Our Royal Marines and Rangers Regiment have started using the Night Stoner.
Fucking
It's
hell,
a bit
go on,
better.
Rick.
That's nice.
Saving me editing. I love it.
Beef,
That's
that, isn't it?
beautiful.
That's it. Visuals for all.
Sorry, Alex got one eye. It takes him longer. Sorry.
Yeah, he likes a 10 mil.
He's got to zero his
fucking-
eye. He's got to zero his eye to
yeah.
see it.
Oh yeah, seen yeah.
So
What is that
I
chambered
thought you
in?
were showing me
What's that
some
chambered
out.
in? Is that a blackout? What's that
Is it
chambered
what?
in?
One's 7.62, I think.
Oh, it's 7.62.
What is?
No, it's 5.56.
Night Stone.
Oh, it's
Five.
5.56, mate. NATO standard round.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
Oh,
Yeah,
I thought they was going to 7.62.
yeah. Fuck
No,
you,
it'll be
Spotify
again,
listeners.
but-
By the way, like you're not fucking
Yeah.
seeing
No,
shit.
ours are 5.56. Ours are 5.56.
Yeah.
Our C9, which the Americans have, they call it like a saw. Maybe it's the M249, I think.
What's,
But
what's
ours
our
is
Jimpy
ours
called?
is 5.56.
What's the
Sorry?
What's the GPMG actually called?
So that is called a C6 here in Canada. It's an FN 7.62. Same one that you guys use.
Is it exactly the same?
Same thing. Yep.
I think.
So
when
and
it-
then we have the like the saw, like I was telling you as well, the 5.56
We used to have
light machine gun.
the mini me as well, didn't we? That fucking got taken out of
That's
service.
that's our C9 is the mini me.
Ah,
You know how much them
And
rifles
you
cost?
know what? It took me forever to figure out what the fuck you guys were talking about because my last 2 deployments in Afghanistan, I worked with a lot of British guys, like a lot of expats, ex-para, had a couple ex-SAS guys, and they always called our C9s like a mini me, and I'm like, what the fuck are you talking? Like to me, I thought a mini me was like one of those like fucking mini guns.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? Like,
8-barreled fucking rotating fucking thing. Yeah.
that's
No.
what I was thinking these boys were talking
Yeah,
about.
yeah.
And then they
Yeah.
showed me, and I'm like, oh, okay, now I know what
Yeah,
you
no.
mean. You
Yeah,
fuckers.
we
Going
call it
back to that,
mini
how
me.
much do you think they cost? How much do you think they cost? Have a guess.
Oh, fucking $4,000 a rifle.
No.
Yeah, 10 grand. 10 grand each.
10 grand a rifle.
Whoa.
That's why they're only giving them to the Royal Marines and Ranger Regiment at the moment, and not everybody. 'cause
How
they
much is an
fucking cost a
SA-80?
fortune. About
Couple of-
600 quid, I think.
Yeah,
Don't get us
couple
wrong.
of hundred quid.
Not for the replica.
I'm going to see. I'm going to see how much. I'm going to see now, but I'm going to Google it. But it's not. It's nowhere near that. Maybe about 1,300. I don't know.
Fucking hell,
I'm not
Ricky's all
exaggerating either.
Last time I sort of dug into that sort of thing, an SA-80 costs about 1,600 quid.
Ah,
Yeah,
But-
it's
So why would you
about
want to own an SA-80?
you own one?
They're like, they. You know what? I shot the SA-80, and I really didn't like it, boys. I got to tell you,
Oh, I don't like
It's,
it.
Why
I
not?
mean, yeah, but
it
your
reminded me
one.
of shooting an AK. Like it was so fucking hot, like on my hands. I just hated it, man. I didn't like it at all.
The British Army likes to think they're innovative when they start issuing out a KFS as part of the fucking initial issue. And then
was
you
bang
never
on.
fucking
Nothing
bang
but
use
the
it.
best for our troops. Nothing but
I
the
was bang
best
on,
for our troops.
1,300.
Nothing is all they're gonna get.
Yeah.
1,300 quid they are. 1,300 quid
What, for
Yeah.
SA-80?
for SA-80 and 10 grand for the Night Stoner.
Yeah, man.
Bit of the price difference.
Wow.
Night Stoner.
And you know who makes you know who made our rifles for the longest time?
Who?
Go on.
Do you know the name Mattel? If I say Mattel, does that ring any bells with you? You never
I've
heard of
heard-
Barbie? Have you ever
Yeah,
heard
I've
of Barbie?
it, yeah.
So the same company that made Barbie made our rifles
Shut
for the
up.
longest time.
Yep.
Yeah, Mattel. They were all
Shut
plastic,
up.
bro.
Did it come
They
in
still
pink?
are.
Because
Only for the females
Ah.
and
'Cause
those
there's
who are
loads
they them.
there's loads of companies out there that like who the fuck let me think of one. So P&G, you know P&G, who do
Procter and
like
Gamble.
yeah, they do all sorts of weird and wonderful shit. Fucking what's the aeroplane one? Boeing?
Yeah.
No, not
Boeing.
Boeing. Yeah,
Uh,
Boeing started out making shit for fucking the war or some shite. Fucking yeah.
Wow.
Shit for
Claymore
the war.
was Claymore came from a toy company as well.
Yeah, it did, yeah.
Yeah, Playmore with Claymore.
I'm not having that.
No, turn up. Like a lot of like big companies, nowadays are all owned by other bigger companies. So there's fucking it's TikTok, so I don't know how fucking true it is, but there's like in America, there's only like 3 overseeing companies that own everything.
Yeah,
Is that allowed?
I don't know.
Is that not a monopoly?
that's kind of how it works. Like, so I don't know. Like earlier we were talking. I own a Canadian Army Jeep, right? They're called an Iltis. And as an example of what we're talking about here, Iltis, it was manufactured by a company in Canada called Bombardier, and they make snowmobiles, right? But
Yeah.
what happened was that Volkswagen owned 3 separate companies. So there was Volkswagen, they own Audi, and there was another company called Munga. And so these 3 companies gave all their parts together, and Bombardier made a Jeep out of it. But that's how it works, is that you have like one main corporation and there are several like smaller corporations, and it just keeps trickling down.
Yeah, but one overseeing company, and then underneath that overseeing company, you've got loads of different other companies, and even under them, they've got other little companies. It's fucking wild. But yeah,
it's pretty crazy.
That's me trying to do research now.
I
That's
know.
me trying to do research as we speak.
Yeah.
Do you know what?
There's
Sometimes
a YouTube video on it, but it says did matter make? I bet I'm gonna have to watch the YouTube video after.
Yeah.
Sometimes I'm just going to put this out there to the audience. The reason we don't do this live is for the simple fact that if one of us says something quite fucking
Naughty.
more naughty than the bottom third is usually held accountable for, we can't blur it live, and if someone else is recording externally, they can quite easily manipulate that. But at the same time, it's a shame because it would be nice when the audience is listening, when we can't think of a certain question because we've gone down a certain line of questioning, an audience member can't jump in and be like, oh, what about this question? Because sometimes I'll get DMs and be like, oh, why didn't you ask this?
I think that we could maybe somehow do something like this, maybe where we did some kind of like live stream together, and we'd just be careful what we're doing, because we'd stop and go, whoa, stop where you are, and stop each other if we thought between four people. I'm sure we could get a grip of someone if they were going down the wrong path.
I think
I can do one better. I can do one better. I was just about to say that we could do one better. Do a live fucking recording.
Oh,
so we fucking get a place. I don't know, like a theatre or some shit like that.
Yeah.
Fucking get people to buy tickets to watch it live, and then we record fucking a live podcast.
Yeah, that's a genius idea. Dan still lives with his mum. You're on about fucking getting theatres.
That's cool, man. That's a good idea. You guys are smart.
Yeah. That
It's
would be
doable.
fucking awesome.
I know it's doable because I'm already doing one.
Oh, well, there you go.
Oh, nice. Is that why you're sitting out in the bush right now?
No. This
He had to
is
sell his house.
October or some shit. Yeah, I bought a theatre. That's what it is.
Not cheap.
Don't tell the missus, whatever.
I know it's possible, but it's bankrupt me. Looking up.
Is there any more questions? I feel like we've landed on a slight dead end. Is there anything more you want to talk on, GMAN? Because I'm more than happy for a part 2 as well. It's just that we're hitting the 2-hour mark.
Holy shit,
we're good. I think we're good.
Yeah, I'm more curious as to like Canadian politics, but again, I don't really want to get political on this podcast anymore.
Well, you can ask about Canadian politics if you want. I don't care. I'll talk about anything.
That can be its own little fucking video.
Yeah, that's like a separate thing. Because what happened is, obviously, for the people that have lasted this long, Emma Watson's podcast was the most cut content I have ever had to take out of a podcast ever. We cut like 45 minutes worth of content.
Yep.
We cut that much, because it got very political very quickly, and what was left when I cut it out was just people going, who the fuck is this person chatting absolute waffle? We love it. Which is the intention of the podcast to begin with. The fact that it got so political so quickly, it was my bad, because I took it on that train of thought anyway. This is why we don't do it live, because then I can take it out. So I did take out 45 minutes worth of content, and it's probably the best decision we've made so far. So I just thought I'd let you know that there was a lot more to it.
No, I mean it makes sense that you do it that way. I've done a lot of like live podcasts as well, but I definitely appreciate doing it this way better.
Yeah, you're a lot more comfortable talking.
Yeah.
Because
we've got to be careful as well, because you've seen what's going on. We've got Keir Starmer now, and he's arresting everyone for anything, so we don't get arrested for our podcast.
There we go. It's got political already.
They're threatening to arrest like Americans and shit too.
Really?
Yeah,
you guys are getting like right out there in 1984, bro.
We're turning to a communist state, mate.
Yeah, it's you guys are crazy. Like Canada's a shithole, bro, but we're not that bad. You know what I mean?
What's the cost of living like?
You guys are getting nuts.
Oh, Alex, go on. Carry on.
So, I forgot what I'm going to fucking say now. You stop me. What's the cost of living like? Yeah.
Cost of living here is it's fucking insane now.
Really?
Like if my wife and I were to move into our neighborhood. Sorry, right now if you get some buzzes or whatever, I'm just sending a text to my wife. Anyways, the cost of living here is insane. My wife and I could not afford to live here if we were to move in today. And my wife is a lawyer. Like we bring in like between the two of us, like our family income is significant. But we still wouldn't be able to. That's quite the fucking text. We would still be able to. We would be having some issues here. That's for sure. Like we bought our house, just to give you. I'm not trying to talk shit or boast or anything, but we bought our house for around $360,000. It's now worth over $1 million,
Holy
and
shit.
that's been in the span of probably 10 years. And then our property in downtown Toronto is going to be pushing 1.75 of a mil to 2 mil.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, and
Yeah.
it's just insane. People, but the problem is that people who are, making like minimum wage here can't afford to keep up with that. You know what I mean?
Same.
Mm.
And so there's not enough housing for the average, Joe. Like the house that we own in Toronto, I rent to my brother-in-law. That way I know that I'm constantly getting that money in. We don't have to worry about it. But cost of living here is fucking insane. And part of the reason is because we have so many different government services, and also we speak 2 languages here. So anything like it comes down to, like, say you want to buy a TV or some shit like that, anything, a can of pop, right? The people who produce that item have to spend double on their labeling because it has to be in French and English.
Oh, wow.
So
Yeah.
now we pay, as English speaking people, I pay double basically to get a French, label on my fucking can of pop or my maple syrup. But there's a lot of good out of it. Like our medical stuff is really good. Our education system is really good. There's a lot of bonuses, but we do pay a lot of taxes for it. That's for sure.
I mean, I've got a solve for that already. It doesn't really take a genius, but what's wrong with having a fucking QR code that just takes you to the website that says it in both languages of what's on that item?
It's just the way that our like laws are. Our advertising laws are like, we have language laws and stuff too.
To just not
Like,
discriminate.
yeah, like they're very strict, especially in Quebec. Like if you go into Quebec and you try to speak English, good luck. Good luck,
To be
dude.
fair, the French hate the English, though, don't they? So it's probably the same. It's about the, I guess it's the same in Canada. They're probably the English
Are they just
speaking
as
hate
rude
the
there
French
as they are in
speaking.
France? That's my question. That's a decent question.
They're French, but they're different French. Like even the language is different. Quebec
Did he eat frog's
French.
legs?
Yeah.
Sure.
I've skied with a couple of French Canadians.
Yeah. And like, not that they're bad people, but their culture is different, right? And but they're different from Parisian French, and they really want to maintain that sort of separation between English and French in most parts of Quebec.
Well,
So-
they're just trying to uphold their culture, aren't they?
Yeah, they don't want it to disappear, right? But if you go to places like Montreal, you're fine. Like Montreal is like Amsterdam. Like most people speak English there. But if you go to like Quebec City or something like that, you're going to run into nothing but francophones.
So they're not
Viva
as.
la France!
So are they
That's right.
more polite than OG French? Because obviously the French are known for being quite rude, as well as the Italians.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, my French Canadian friends, they're they'll tell you where the bear shit in the buckwheat. They don't pull punch, or they don't
Yeah.
hold punches with you. They'll let you know. But they're good people, just like the rest of Canadians, and glad to have them as part of the show.
They'll punch you in the face, but they'll direct you to the nearest hospital. Is what I'm getting from that.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
It's ideal.
Do they wear
Geneva
blueberries?
suggestions.
Blueberries and carry French breadsticks or onions around the neck? Oh, no.
They're not that French,
Yeah.
bro. They're not.
So
that
start
French.
getting a fucking French baguette.
Yeah.
Baguette drill.
You do a podcast and point a French breadstick in your face to speak into.
Oh, that's something. I imagine someone will have thought of this while listening to this. With like the French side of Canada, and obviously, is the 2 separate military entities? Is like the French side actually connected to France in terms of the military?
They have their own unit. Like we have our own Scottish regiments.
We have Gurkhas, and
we have Scottish regiments. So we call them like a Highland unit.
Oh.
So we have Highlanders. We have regular units. Our French our French military, our military out in Quebec, they are like kind of a military unto themselves.
Yeah.
But they still follow all the same rules and stuff like that. But it's just we don't work with them as much. But it's hard to get by on certain bases if you do not speak French. Like
Right.
when I became an
Interesting.
MP, I had to learn French. Like you learn it in school and stuff like that, but you it takes time before you actually like become conversational in it with people.
Mhm.
I think that's
Yeah.
our biggest flaw in schools, to be honest. The fact that we don't have like first aid being taught in schools, but we have French being taught. No one gives a shit about the French class. That's just a DOS. That's throwing pencils, rubbers, taking the piss out of the French. That's all that French lesson is how many insults can you fit in that 1 hour lesson to insult the French? That's all it is in the UK.
I've learned bonjour and bonjour monsieur. That's all I know. That's what they say.
Oui, baguette.
Bon anniversaire. That's all I know.
Je m'appelle. Je m'appelle. Je m'appelle
Oh, yeah.
Ricky.
Je
Our
m'appelle
French
Alex.
people,
Yeah,
our
that's it.
Canadian French
That's what.
people, they swear against the Catholic Church. So in Quebec, what they do is they say things like tabernacle, which is tabernacle, which is something that's used in a church or whatever. Then they say tabernacle esti, and that is in relation to the Mother Mary, Virgin Mary. So they have all these swear words, but it's all in relation to the Catholic Church because the Catholic Church kind of fucked them over when they came to Canada. So
Ricky taught us some French actually on a podcast episode once. I'm pretty sure.
Oh, yeah.
Why are you not
Bleh,
kapoof?
bleh, bleh, bleh. Yeah, what you went? Why you not kapoof? Bleh, 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 bleh. I don't know. Fucking-
Kapoof.
I picked up some great Dutch, man.
What does
We
kapoof?
were
Kapoof means? She said kapoof.
kapoof.
She went
I've never
kapoof.
heard it.
But she where she come from. She was like, "Why you not kapoof?"
Oh,
I was
my.
like,
Never heard that, man.
Yeah.
But I learned some good Dutch ones, dude. Worked with the Dutch reconnaissance unit on my deployment to Bosnia, and like my dad is Dutch. I had an opa and stuff like that. But these Dutch guys really took to me, so they taught me all these words like schrapennuker, which is a sheep fucker.
That's for the
You
Welsh.
could be a schrapennuker, yeah. You could be a bijdebeffe, which is somebody who licks farm animals.
Welsh.
Yep.
Wow.
Lakanoka Nipatalan is good fuck no pay. They taught me
London.
all these great words. And that's what I loved about working with different nations in the military is that you learn all the nasty jargon, right?
"Yeah,
Yeah.
gotta be the best."
Right, I'm happy. I'm more
Yeah, well,
open now
It's been
to
2 hours, so we better.
cool. Yeah, obviously, if you've listened on Spotify, appreciate it. Thank you. Hopefully, you've arrived at camp safely. If you've watched this on YouTube, can you do us a favor? Just press the like button because obviously, if you can't be asked pressing the share button,
Yeah, it. And
Subscribe.
subscribe if you're not.
I'm not asked about subscriptions. There's nothing that you get out of subscribers. If you just like it, that'll be. And a comment, just let us know if we did shit. The shit sandwich. What we
And
did
check
good.
out my OnlyFans.
Yes.
Check out my OnlyFans. I have lots of feet pics. I sell my dirty socks. All kinds of shit.
Ooh.
OnlyFans.
What's your
Check me
OnlyFans?
out. Check me out.
I
that
might
like-
have to check that out.
200 quid shipping
What?
from Canada.
Well, it
Just a
depends.
sock in an ISO container.
Yeah, but if like a repeat offender on my OnlyFans, then I'll just waive the shipping, and you can just have my dirty socks for
Yes.
free.
And next week, him and Emma Dilemma will make a video as well.
Okay.
There we go.
Oh man.
Right. Cheers for watching.
Oh.
Anyways, thanks for
thank
having me.
you.